So the first thing we're going to do in general is I'm going to touch, we're going to have three use cases we just talked about. Then we're going to work on those use cases together. Let me see. So let me, I'm going to share everything. Let's say one, two, three. Let's say, let's start with first one. Second one. And I'll probably share it in our group so that we're going to work on use case two, then you use case three. I'll show you guys use case one first. Okay, so let me tell you the first. Okay, I love this actually. Love it. Okay. Uh, let's see. Okay, let me tell you what I've seen happen. It's a good one. So sometimes your leadership could give you a policy, right? They will tell you, look at this policy and review to tell us if there is any gaps or potential area they can improve. I think that's a common thing. So they will give you a set of policies. Okay, let me ask you. Let's forget cyber for 1 second. If I come to you and I ask you, um, for the last 20 years, we've had policy we've been using. Every year we review it, right, to say it's fine. Okay, good. However, the last 3 years has, tell me, let me ask you, tell me some two changes you've noticed the last 2 years or 3 years in general. Let's just open the floor. In professional world, what are some three changes you've seen out there that you can tell me? I love it, baby. Remote work, big one. AI, big one. So work from home, remote. I love it. You guys are thinking. Don't let's go into DEI. Okay, data security. Okay, I like that. Remote work. Okay, so telework. I love it. So we can agree on three: telework, data security, AI. We have let's another one here. Okay, remote work is a big one. Telework is a big one. Hybrid, multi-factor authentication. Okay, so we can agree. Okay, data is the new oil. Okay, fine. We can agree one thing for sure. A lot of things have changed. Outsourcing is becoming big. Yes. Okay, those are big things we cannot run from. So, is it fair to say, whatever your comprehensive policies are, we need to consider a revision of our policies to also reflect these new norms? Let's take it again. Whatever your story is, right? The last 2 years has changed. We can't pretend. Somebody said global integrated delivery. Okay, so at the end of the day, let me even assume I'm not a global player. I'm just a small, mid-size U.S. North American focus for a second, right? One thing we cannot run from: AI is here to stay. Remote work or work from home is here to stay. Um, Potentially working with third party is here to stay, and to make sure that they implement and comply with best practice that we believe in because we are liable is here to stay. So in my mind, I'm already thinking then even remote support is here to stay because if you have issues, somebody needs to log into your system to support it, they'll probably log in remotely, right? So we know all of those are big risk, right? At the end of the day. So in my mind, I think it's fair to say all of this risk you all have identified, we need to reflect it based on this use case. How would I approach it? Let's start with that. So I will do this with us. Then the second and third use case, I'll make you work as a team to develop it. The difference between generically using ChatGPT versus this, you will see it now. Generically, I'll just say, oh, build a blah, 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 blah. That's not going to work. Yeah, I'm giving the uniqueness of my business, right? That's why there's a background. Where do you get this background? If it's your business, your organization, it's straightforward. Check your SOP, check what organization, what the business is, what they do. If you guys have subsidiary in your organization, for example, add it and say we have multiple location, make it as unique to your environment as possible before you build out a story. In my case now, you'll see me the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to say, okay, this is the objective. I will state and say, this is the background. Based on this background, build, you know, I think this is really enough, because I've already given background here. I'll copy this and I'll just say, based on this background, develop a data protection policy that includes work from home or remote work and AI usage. I will also say develop data protection procedures for securing medical devices. That's the way I will kind of approach it. So let me show you the way I would do it if I was to work on this personally, okay? Again, there are many ways we can play around this, but let me just show you my thinking and the way I would approach it to make it unique to my client base in my case. So I'll come here. I don't know how you guys do your own thingy, but let me just come here and just show you the way I will kind of approach it. Again, it doesn't mean that I'm the guru in it. I'm just giving you my own way of thinking about it. And it's been effective so far. I really say no my clients complain about stuff like this. But let me just show you. I like to start with, before I throw it to ChatGPT, I like to kind of put it in a word to kind of think through it so it will force me to think. So I'll come here and say, okay, based on the below background, and I'll just put it there. I'll say background. So develop. So I kind of just played and said, okay, based on the below background, which is here, develop cybersecurity policies that also integrate all emerging threats such as AI, remote work, etc. Right? So let's start with that one. Okay. This is my own thinking around it. So I'm going to say, okay, let's use this is for policy. Okay. This is for policy. So I've not touched procedure yet. Let's just say policy, right? Policy prompt. Again, for my folks that will call me and say, hey, do you think my company will allow me to, any serious business will not have a problem with efficiency. So don't stress that, you know. Okay, so I'll start with this, right? This is my policy prompt. We'll touch procedure prompt later. Let's start with policy prompt first. And after I this, I'll come back to again, do whatever works for you. Some of you will just build it straight up in the chat GPT or whatever you use. I like to start with a word to make me think, it will force me to think about what I want to. I get it. Sometimes you can just go straight to the prompt and do your thing. I get it. But sometimes it's nice to kind of force you to be thoughtful because you are customizing it, right? So make yourself thoughtful a little bit before you throw it into the prompt because that would have eliminated all the confusion. Make sure you understand what you are doing first before you now ask it to build it for you, or else that will be sloppy on our side, right? So be thoughtful. Use 5 minutes to think about it like this. Then you can now throw it in the prompt. Okay. So this is the first one. So let's go. So I've put this now. Now let me see what I would come up with in ChatGPT real quick. And you don't have to use ChatGPT. You can use other ones, but I use ChatGPT because it's just, I guess I'm used to it. That's all. Other ones are equally good. DeepSeek has been good too. I've played with it this week. But do whatever works for you best. At least start with ChatGPT. It's tested so far. Okay, so let me show you guys so you guys can see my screen here and I'll just run it. Again, remember I took some time to think about it before I ran it. Hopefully it works. Okay, my ChatGPT is. Let me. Okay, let's see what's going on here, Mr. Chat. All right, let's see. 1 second. My ChatGPT is going rogue on me. Let me see one more time. All right, let me share again. All right, so let's see. So you can see it's coming up with some interesting policy statement, right? Okay, you'll notice something here. I mean, this is just crazily awesome. Remember, because my thinking is we are targeting this policy because of the deployment of MRI, CT scan, and X-ray machine. So there's a reason behind this new policy for us, right? And we also say include mitigating for emerging threats like AI, remote work vulnerabilities, and evolving cyber risk. So you can see here, it talks about the roles and responsibilities part of it. You can notice one thing, it's high-level comments. All patient data must be encrypted and rest in data. But boom, just giving you high level what you should be doing. Secure network infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. AI related threat mitigation, remote security, blah, blah, blah. Incident response and threat management, third party risk management, security awareness and training. Straight to the point, high level comment, which is great. You can see here, it also tells me you can also put the date approved by. We expect this to be done every year, right? So every year we'll just have a table, whoever reviewed it, the time, blah, 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 put all that information there, boom. We've come up with a first draft. Now, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, I told you we are working on updating some policy for some clients. We are doing the same thing. That's what we're going to do. The same thing we're going to do is going to be the second assignment we're doing a bit, which is there's the existing policy. We need to update those policies. So the policy are existing, we're just updating those policy, right? So this is for the policy side of things. Let's now go to the second part of it that I was working on earlier on. Again, you can prompt it the way that works for you, but I recommend always take a minute to think through it in your Word document or whatever you use, Notepad. Then you can now throw it into the prompt. But first, take 5 minutes to think about it yourself so that it will reflect the true intent and purpose of why you're doing it. So just make sure you spend 5 minutes. If you make it generic, the problem is it will give you generic context. You know what I mean? So spend 5 minutes, just think through it a little bit, your own business and how it applies to your organization. Okay. So let's go to the second part of it, the procedure side of it, real quick. All right. So the procedure side, again, just let's think together for a second. So yeah, I said, okay, I would say I'll still come here because there's a background. I'll just change it to based on the below background, come here and say, develop procedure for secure medical devices and ensuring the safety of patient data on the network. So I'll just say, I'll still add that I also integrate blah, blah. Then I'll just remove this. Again, I did this because I feel it makes sense for me to spend 5 minutes to think a little bit about it because this is a unique case, right? I know if you put it directly in ChatGPT, you might still figure yourself out. I get it, but always spend like 5 minutes to think through your own organization and the uniqueness of what you're trying to do for 5 minutes, then throw it into the prompt. Don't start with the prompt, in my opinion, or else you would it will be generic that would make them question you. So spend 5 minutes to at least put your thoughts around it first. Then afterwards, you can throw it to the prompt. I think it's very effective that way. Okay. So yeah, I just said, now I'm talking of procedure, right? So let's go. I'll copy this now. Now let me go back to my, if this makes sense, give me a thumbs up.